Questions of national security are still top of mind for thousands of Americans as the president moves forward with accepting a 747 jet from Qatar.
The plane, which is intended to be used as Air Force One by the president, will be vetted by the Defense Department prior to arrival. That's according to Pentagon officials.
Joining us now to talk about exactly what that means and more on national security is retired Marine Colonel Mark Cancian, now a senior advisor with CSIS Defense and Security Department. Colonel, good morning.
Good morning. Great to be on the show.
Great to have you here. Let's start here. When you first heard that he was considering accepting the jet, now knowing that he is accepting the jet, the Defense Department, I should say, not the president, but the administration is accepting the jet. What were your thoughts?
I was surprised that he actually went through with it. You may remember back in his first administration, he thought about using the Trump jet as Air Force One and dropped that very quickly when it became clear there was no way it could function as Air Force One. People have to keep in mind that Air Force One has three very special attributes. One is personal security for the president, and that it is protected against attacks. The second is that it is part of the continuity of government, and that entails being able to fight a nuclear war if necessary from that aircraft and survive a nuclear blast. Now, whenever the president goes abroad, there is a trailing aircraft that goes with him that is specially designed to do that, but the president is going to be in the Air Force One, and therefore it has to have far, far more communications and defensive systems than any civilian aircraft. Putting those onto an aircraft, extremely difficult. There's a replacement program for the Air Force One. It's been delayed. It's had some very large cost overruns. Two aircraft, total of $5 billion, taking many years. I don't see how they can do that for this aircraft.
You mentioned some of those categories, security, the continuity of government. When you look at some of those modifications, I know a lot are classified, and not everyone needs to know about what's going inside this airplane. But as you transform it, modify it from a gift to something usable for the president, what are some of those, let's just say really cool and top-notch modifications for the president that they would have to put in there?
Well, one series is just to protect the president's life. So the aircraft will have defensive systems to warn about missile attack and to have counters against missile attack. You can see it on many aircraft. It's called the disco ball, which is like a cylinder that's underneath the aircraft. It looks for heat-seeking missiles, and if it sees any, then it will fire flares to distract the missile. Then there's the avionics, avionics that is like communication systems and navigation systems, much more sophisticated than a regular aircraft. They have secure communications and satellite and everything you'd be able to do to fight a nuclear war. And then there's the hardening of the wiring. Regular wiring on aircraft is not designed to withstand a nuclear blast and the electromagnetic pulse that would ensue. That is true on Air Force One. That's why when they build a new Air Force One, they gut it and start over because it's so difficult. In fact, it's impossible to retrofit all of these requirements onto an existing aircraft without gutting it.
Well, right, a big undertaking there. But Colonel, in terms of security, accepting a jet from a foreign nation, right? The Defense Department said, they're going to, sweep it before it comes here to the U.S. and gets, retrofitted in theory. But when you're talking about sweeping that for security, what are you looking for, and what are some of the dangers that officials are going to be looking at?
They're going to be looking at a wide variety of dangers. The obvious ones are things like bugs that would record conversations that occur on the aircraft, but they're also looking for any items that might be put into the systems that might endanger the aircraft, might even cause failure of the aircraft. It could be something even in the software. These aircraft have millions of lines of code, and you just slip a couple of extra lines in there, and maybe the flight controls stop working in certain circumstances. So there's really a tremendous amount to do if you want to completely sanitize the aircraft. Remember that when Boeing had those problems with flight controls, there were two tragic accidents. It took years to figure out exactly what had happened and then to fix them all.
A lot there to break down with the acceptance of this 747. Retired Marine Colonel Mark Cancian joining us this morning to break that all down for us. Colonel, as always, we appreciate your insight.
Thanks for having me on the show.